I have to tell you that most couples have it wrong when they are in the midst of their marriage or in the beginning of a relationship. They think it's supposed to be all, roses and rainbows, and it's far from it. In fact, I would actually be worried if your relationship's like that. There's something fundamentally wrong because you cannot have love without suffering. There's a cycle of suffering and love that just goes around and around and around. I prepared, well, it's basically one of the modules I'm doing for my course, and it's a very popular one. It is the one that speaks about how it's a we and not an I. There's no such thing as individualism when it comes to marriage. And so that's what I'm talking about throughout this whole module slash episode. I'm actually sharing one of the modules with you because I really think that anybody is going to really, really benefit from this online course that I created called Conjugal Love. It is something that, like I say over and over, you can do it from your home. You don't have to get childcare. You don't have to step out of your house. It's probably a 30 to 40-minute video that you get to watch with your husband, or I should say, with your spouse. But I have a feeling it's a woman that's going to be like dragging their husband to the couch to watch it. But I know for a fact they are going to thank you for it. And just think of it, we're at the beginning of October. It's a beautiful time of the year, but soon it's going to get cold if you're in Canada, and you're not going to want to go out, and you're going to run out of ideas of things to do with your spouse. Things are expensive. You don't want to go out to dinner all the time. And when you go out to dinner, you often talk about the kids and you don't really even talk about yourselves. So for $140 Canadian, you are basically getting 12 couples counseling sessions from yours truly. And it's a heck of a deal. Now, I have to warn you, I mean, in case, excuse the dog, in case you haven't figured it out, it's going to be a little bit through a Christian lens, right? I shouldn't say a little bit, quite a lot. But I mean, who doesn't want God in the center of their marriage? I mean, that's the only way you're going to make it through. It sounds a little grim, sorry, but that's me. If you know me, I tell you the truth. And so if you're somebody searching for the truth, sign up, run, don't walk. We're starting October 1st, so that's tomorrow. So yeah, the link will be in the episode show notes. And like I said, you won't regret it. In fact, if you don't like it, ask for your money back and I will gladly give it to you after, maybe a month of being in the course or something like that. How does that sound? All right, let's get on with the show. Dishonesty, disrespectful, discrimination, detached, dismissive. That's it. I'm done. Relationships can be messy. Are you having trouble with your personal or professional relationship? Not to worry. As a relationship therapist and coach for over 25 years, I have a lot to share, and so will my guest experts. Let's get smarter in our business and personal lives so we can be our best selves. Now, let's get on with the show. Welcome, everyone. Hope you're excited about this. And I'm going to try to remember for each of our modules, each of the pillars, that just to say a short prayer to help us concentrate, because we all need that nowadays. Okay, so let's begin. Holy Father, as we listen and reflect on these words, quiet our distractions and open our hearts to your truth. Remind us daily that we are sinners, fully dependent on your mercy and grace. Strengthen us as a couple so that our love may reflect the love of Christ for his church. Amen. So no matter where you are, You might be cleaning the house, listening to this on audio only. You might be sitting in front of your smart TV or your laptop. You might be at the office with your laptop. You might be driving. Wherever you are, let's try to concentrate on what is happening right now. Okay? Thanks for signing up. I really appreciate this. And I really hope it helps you, obviously. That's why I created it. So, when you both were at the altar, you promised yourself to your partner, not only in that moment, but for your whole life. And in that moment, the words I do really transform to we do, right? But yet, if we're honest, most of us slip back into very easily the I thinking. And also, I mean, not only is that our human response, but our culture is constantly telling us to protect our independence, to build your own career, to manage your own money, especially if you're a woman now, because I mean, like we're constantly told, I mean, you never know, you could be on your own someday, and all of that's true, obviously, but I mean, we do need to be independent. We can't depend on someone else to make us happy or to keep us fed. But it's just it's overemphasized nowadays. This whole idea of autonomy, and I can do it on my own. I don't need anybody. That's what we're really being told here. Yeah, and then on top of that, also we're constantly being told. I mean, if you're like me, to follow your own dreams. It's important that you are happy. It's all of this, independency sort of thing. So we really need to be reminded that marriage is meant, not to be a contract between two individuals that, it may or it may not work out. You know, that's not what we get married for. It is a covenant. It's where two people become one flesh, and actually not even, it's not even a dyad here. When we think of it, it's a triad. It's more triangular. It's you, your spouse, horizontally equal, and then it's the vertical God. So it's three actually when we think about marriage as a covenant. And which reminds me, like, if I looked to this book a lot when I was creating this course, Three to Get Married by Fulton Sheen. Wonderful book. And that's basically what he's reminding of us. You can see I have it tagged all over throughout the book. And it's a very special book. So you can put that on your books to read list. Okay, so throughout this whole course, I want to make this as practical as I can. I don't want to just give you a bunch of theology. I hope that even if you don't consider yourself that Christian, that you will benefit from this course in terms of everyday examples. Because let's be honest, I'm not just going to have you read the Bible. So where have I, as a therapist, seen most of I versus we, and where does this most often show up in marriage? Well, one example that comes to mind is spending time together. We could have one spouse, men, that think, running errands together, and doing chores together count as quality time. Whereas the other might long for more deeper conversations, or yeah, having a walk together sort of thing, long walks together. So this is where men and women often very much differ. And that's where we have different perspectives on many things. But I mean, we have to see that both needs are real. Men are more practical, logistical, and they feel like walking down a grocery aisle together and picking out, different items on the shelf. is quality time, but women might not agree. So, what really nourishes us? We have to ask each other like those questions. Like what for you nourishes our relationship and hear what each other have to say about that rather than having the idea of, well, this works for me and you have to start conforming to how I see marriage in order for this to work. I mean, that's not how it goes, right? I mean, that's the I versus we going on there. What's another example of where we often get I versus we? To me, would be finances. And actually, this is probably one of the biggest areas of where we can slip into I versus we. And I have a whole module on finances. So I won't say all that much about it here, but like you can see how this becomes a very like dangerous slope to start slipping down because it's often the higher earner who thinks, this is my paycheck and but this then they think the higher earner becomes the spender and, well, this is my right. Like I work hard for my money. And if I want to buy this with my money, I should be able to. You can see the number of I's and my and all that going on in that conversation. So we really have to reframe this as it being our resources, that's stewarded for the good of the family. That's how you have to see it, like funneling into one resource and then refunneled out to the different areas of the family, that are needed. And it's not to say that, okay, I don't want to get off track because, like I say, there's a whole module on this, but just realize that that comes up a lot in my couples sessions. And yeah, the whole idea of these videos and these audios or whatever is for you to be exposed to different topics and then reflect on it and maybe do some work around it for the next couple of weeks, right? But just think on your own. You don't even need to have a conversation with your partner necessarily, but just like, how do I view this topic? And where have I been thinking more about me and my needs and not of my partners? So another area where we often see I versus we is parenting. And a lot of it is what I need. And even before becoming a parent, and I'm thinking of this now because I just heard this podcast on Planned Parenthood. And anyway, yeah, I won't get into it right now. But so even when are we going to have this child? I think women can be like, my body, my choice. And yes, there's parts of that are true. But again, it has to be a decision where it's more of, yeah, what are your needs and what are my needs? And let's bring this together and see what's best for us. Because the man might have a legitimate reason of why he does want to have a child now or does not, right? Because yeah, women, it's sort of like our cycles, our timing, our age, fertility and all that. We might be putting a lot of pressure on our spouses in that sense, and we have to see what's going on for our spouse. And I'm going to apologize right now because I might use the word partner when I don't want to. Like it's almost automatic now because we've heard of that word so often in our culture nowadays. It's not our partner. I mean, okay, so if you're dating, if you're listening to this or whatever, if you're not married yet, yeah, I guess. I mean, but even then, I would prefer boyfriend, girlfriend. Because to me, like partner reflects a contract, spouse reflects a marriage. And we need to stop using the word partner. I really dislike that term. So anyway, back on the topic, even pre-parenting, it can become a big conflict. Even like I go I remember all these things, even though I have adult children, but like even preparing the baby room in the house, it's sort of like I remember being on my husband, like we need this done, we need this done, or when is this contractor coming to the house? And I don't know. Like, I mean, there's just so many different areas that we can talk about here, but think about it pre-parent, during parenting, it's all very important. Even, okay, so this is coming up right now. I'm recording this end of September, and the whole Trump, like autism, women taking Tylenol. This is one of the reasons why we have, the number of children with autism right now. I'm not going to say yay or nay to that. I mean, apparently there's a lot of studies to back it, and I'm definitely not going to get political in this course. But it's just another because, you know, I know that there's TikTok videos like women who are um Republican, I guess left. I should know this, but that despise Trump, who are making videos of them that they are clearly pregnant and taking Tylenol, ingesting it in their bodies, just to more or less say, you know, give him the middle finger. Hello, my body, my choice, and I'm taking Tylenol. Like, just think about that. Like, I mean, did your husband give you permission, to do this? Or are you just, like, what is going on? Sorry to get off topic in that sense, but again, we have to be very careful here. Okay. Moving on. Different other parenting issues, right? Like, do we want our children in this sport? Do we want our children playing three different or participating in three different activities a week? Or is one parent saying, hold on, A, we can't really afford this. B, I don't have time to be driving the kids to all different, or, and another person saying, well, no, it's important for their development, and little Johnny really wants to go, and here we go, conflict, right? Um, yeah, we need to cooperate, compromise, and have a we kind of discussion around this. I mean, conflict is where one person feels like they won, and they won this argument rather than we are compromising on this conflict. It's really important to think like that because if ultimately think about it, in war, if one person wins, the opposition loses. So we have to think about this differently. Now, okay, household responsibilities. That's another good one. The temptation is always to keep the scorecard. You know, I did all this and now you need to do all this. There's some sort of like tally, posted on the fridge door sort of thing. And, honestly, like it doesn't even have to be in romantic partnerships. I guess that's okay to say. Romantic relationships. No, see, there I go with partnerships again. But like this even came up with my adult child yesterday. I have a daughter who's 25, and she was discussing with me how now that school has begun again, course load really heavy. Last year, she did not have a serious boyfriend. This year, she does. And her close girlfriend is sort of on her now because she's not spending as much time with her anymore because my daughter now has, like I say, a serious boyfriend. So she has to sort of like manage her time a little bit carefully. And I'm thinking, oh my God, the girl drama, like they're grown adults and there's still so much drama going on with these women. It's not high school anymore or elementary school. So I just said to my daughter, words of advice like, this is no different than a romantic relationship. Like, do not ever keep a scorecard. You should just have this conversation with her and say, I really appreciate you as a friend. I really love spending time with you, and I'm doing my best to spend time with both of you right now. But if you're, keeping a scorecard on this, this is not going to work for us. And let's just appreciate the time that we can give towards one another. So there's going to be seasons in your life, couples, and sometimes one spouse can give more time than the other. And we just have to see it as that. Let's say in the farming community right now, it's super busy, the harvest is going on, and you're probably not seeing your husband very much at all. And you are probably asked to be doing a lot as well. Like he's busy, and now not only are you busy with the family as you normally are with all the kids, you're probably there's no set dinner schedule anymore, or maybe you're running meals out to the fields or whatever it is, and you are feeling incredibly stressed, but so is he. And you're both overtired, you're both super upset, but it is a season and these times will pass. Isn't there scripture that says there's a time to reap and there's a time to sow? And those are really busy times, you know. But there's also, let's try to keep the Sabbath, and that's why God said to keep the Sabbath, because we need that time to. Okay, so let me just say that partnership means stepping in when your spouse is tired and really offering your strengths and receiving theirs with gratitude, right? So we need to really see this through, um, a Christian lens. And I'm not going to get deep into scripture because, frankly, to be completely honest with you, I do not know scripture all well. I should probably be more versed in scripture, but I do my best to read the Bible when I can. But it's more of a teaching to me from the Catechism, and but I know, in Genesis that Eve was formed from Adam's rib, not from his head, not from his foot, right? But from his. And I feel like this image is very powerful because husband and wife, equal in dignity, distinct in their roles, but walking side by side. And you'll hear me talk about St. Paul a lot because I have special devotion to him. But, later, St. Paul says, I mean, he calls marriage a great mystery. And, think about that. Isn't that the truth? It's like, wow, wow. Like, I mean, I married this person was raised completely different than I was. Well, let's hope not so different. Let's hope they were both raised, in a Catholic or Christian lens, but very different, right? Different parents, different ways of, the way that they were parented, but yet I'm marrying this person and I'm dedicating the rest of my life to this person and I'm willing to suffer for this person. And I'm doing that all in the name of God. And wow, like that is a mystery. And St. Paul compares it to like Christ's love for the church, right? Christ didn't say my needs first. He laid down his life for his bride, which is the church. And that's the model we are invited into. But that's not what our culture tells us. Our culture prizes self-sufficiency, but that only poisons, any sort of intimacy that you're going to have. God designed us male and female so that our differences could complement each other. Okay. Our strengths are not meant to make us independent, which again, what modernity is telling us, you can do it all your own. Like, look at you go, women, you can, you can build that fence, you can repair that roof, and all you need is YouTube. And there's so many other ways you don't need a man. But no, our strengths as women, is to love. We have a great ability to love and to nurture. And I don't think God created us women to do what men can do better than us. If we need to, we're pretty amazing, but it's not what we are designed to do. So, weaknesses, to bring up weaknesses too, we are very weak. We have many, I don't know about you, but I have tons of weaknesses, and we shouldn't be ashamed of that. Like, don't put me in front of some sort of piece of IKEA furniture. Like, I want to run in the other direction so badly. Despite the little cute little manuals that they have, it's just not the way my brain works. So I am not shameful of that. I embrace it and I see those weaknesses as places where my husband can love me and do it for me. So, anyway, let's get back to some spiritual truth. And that is partnership does not mean sameness. Okay. Remember that. Partnership does not mean sameness. It means unity through the differences. An analogy that came to me once when I was working with a couple is and I personally love this. I've never heard anybody talk about coupleship. I think partnership is okay to use. Relationship, partnership, coupleship, whatever you want to say. I just don't like the word your partner or referencing your spouse as your partner. But think of a puzzle pieces, two puzzle pieces. No two are alike, okay? But when joined, they interlock firmly. And to me, that is the picture of a Christian marriage. Two individuals joined by God. Remember the triad. It's not just you and your spouse. God's in there too. And you are no longer two, but one. And here's, the idea is like the challenge is that you cannot live as one flesh if you keep on protecting your own turf. Unity does demand sacrifice and humility and the daily surrender. It is a continual choice to ask what's best for us instead of what can I get out of this? And just to get back to the puzzle piece analogy, like, I mean, you're too different, but when you're interlocked, I mean, like the word interlocked, right? Like I can't move the puzzle pieces. Whereas if you were both completely the same, like two squares put together, I could shift that super easily on the table. But two puzzle pieces, when I'm moving one, I'm moving the other. And you have to see marriage like that. You can't make a move without your partner. So, I mean, not only do I try in this course to give you, more of a Christian lens to your marriage, but I'm also going to bring a little bit more of Catholic lens. Sorry, a Gottman sort of couples counseling lens to it, because even though the Gottmans don't, sorry, I'm getting a phone call. Even though the Gottmans don't really bring in that much Christianity into their methods, they're great, and they're especially great when it comes to conflict and communication styles, etc. So the Gottmans have this exercise called Dreams Within Conflict, and it's an excellent exercise. And you can ask me more about it if you'd like to, maybe in the Q&A section. But it helps us get away from this sort of I thinking perspective, and it moves you more into we thinking. And it's done by sort of you interviewing your partner, you could say, and uncovering your partner's hidden dreams behind this conflict. So a great example of this would be, let's say your husband is saying, I need little Johnny to get to level gazillion in his hockey. And therefore, we're going to get the best of the best equipment. And I know he's only three, but I'm convinced he's going to be an NHL star. And we need to put him in this academy. I'm really hoping that by the age 15, 16, that he can, whatever. Okay. So you, as, his wife, is saying, well, I don't think our budget can really afford that, nor our time, blah, blah, blah. I'm not sure if I can do this. I'm not sure if I can agree with this. And then going through the dreams within conflict exercise, she unveils that his dream was always going to be a hockey star and how his dad, never allowed him to play hockey and blah, blah, blah. Okay. So this is more of a childhood wound that that's contributing to his stubbornness, and it's all about I and what I need in this conflict. And anyway, the couple can maybe work it through like that. So, let's this is maybe an exercise that you guys can do in the next couple of weeks, but choose an issue where you feel you're stuck in the for example, I want to save more money, or I need more alone time, or I, I don't want you to move. I don't want us to move for your job promotion. And, take turns now, like share whatever the I issue is, and now take turns sharing your perspective on this, right? And when one person is sharing their perspective, you don't get to interrupt. Okay, don't get to debate. When you're the listener, you can't do that. Your role is the listener, and their role is the speaker, and you allow each other to do that. And now, in the specific Gottman exercise, part three comes where you go deeper and you ask a series of questions, such as, what is your dream or value behind this for you? Like, let's be honest, what's up here, and tell me, why is this so important for you? So you're really asking your spouse to get very vulnerable about this, not make it practical on, and yeah, like, I don't know, his practical decision might be, well, this academy is only offering it right now, and it's a really good deal, and it works out in my work schedule. That's all surface level stuff. That's not the real thing behind it, right? He might be making up all these other excuses. No, no. So you have to say no. Like, I mean, there's more to this. Tell me what it is. Um, you know, really getting your spouse to talk about their fear. Because when anybody's super anxious on a topic, super like, we need to get this done now, and like there's a real time urgency here, and or getting really angry, or whatever it might be, you got to see how that might be, there's some sort of fear behind your position, and what is that. And then, the fourth part about that is sort of maybe listening into some overlap. Like, once both spouses have shared, let's see where is there some commonality here? Where are there some common goals, and, or maybe ways that both dreams can be honored? Because that's what we're looking for here. Okay. So the point is not to win the argument, but instead to really understand the heartfelt message behind the conflict or the argument, etc. What is it about you needing to do it your way right now? So typically, when you uncover the dream, there's compassion that grows with it. So it could have been starting off as but then, it might be that, let's say, the husband in this instance with the NHL star dream for his son, it could be that your wife allows it to be more of a we thing. It's not necessarily you dropping the I, and making it a we from your point of view, but it might be her coming around the table, the corner, whatever piece of furniture we're talking about. All right. So I hope that was helpful. Again, thank you for joining me. And as you continue this next week, I want you to really pay attention on how often am I slipping into our modern I thinking, type of approach here. And try to catch yourself. Ask yourself instead, how can I turn this into a moment of we? So, in conclusion, please remember that marriage is not two people trying to outdo each other, but it is two people carrying the cross together. Remember, sacrificial love. That's what it's all about. So let's try to keep Christ. Oh my goodness. Sorry. Let's try to keep Christ as your model, your strength, and your unity. I want you to really try to look at the reflection exercises. I want you to practice this throughout the next couple of weeks. Look at how, you can incorporate this into your current lives right now. Come up with some questions for me if you can for the Q&A. Send it to me by email. I will really do my best to help you. And I will be announcing when the Q&A session is over the course of the next couple of weeks. The times will vary. If you can join me, great. If not, obviously it's going to be all recorded, but I'm here to help you through the I versus me, me and I versus we mentality that we are so labored with these days. All right. Have a great week, and we'll see you here again in approximately 2 weeks for the Q&A, but for sure you'll get another module delivered to you in 3 weeks. Again, thanks for joining me. Have a good week. Thanks for tuning in to this episode. Remember that you can watch the full episode on YouTube, where I plan to hang out the most. Your feedback and suggestions for future guests are incredibly valuable to me, so please don't hesitate to post a comment. You are an integral part of this journey.